recording the session. And so thanks for joining today, and welcome everyone to this session on using Windows 10 to support learners with a visual impairment. So I'm going to look at some of what we call some legacy tools and some of the new features in Windows, so you get a flavour of all the various options that are available to you. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. I still got some people joining as well, so I'll just share my screen. And I'll just click onto that. And hopefully you can see my screen. Is that okay? It can, thumbs up if you can, or just write in yes, you can see the screen, everything's working okay? Yeah, okay, great. Just check that. Yeah, okay then, right. Okay, so the first thing, and what I do have, I'm just going to pop these URLs, copy, into the text pane for you. So if I just go back and into the text pane, and I'm just going to pop these URLs in for you. Okay, so you have them. So there's a bunch of URLs which are really just resources to support this webinar today. So the first thing is on the Call Scotland blog, I've put together a kind of a blog article which is looking at some videos that I did, and I'll show you them shortly, because everything we're going to cover today is actually videos on YouTube and on OneDrive if you can't get access to them. So this is it here. There's 10, 11, 12 videos in all, and it really looks at customizing the desktop from the start, and then going on to looking at Narrator, which is an excellent screen reader. If you don't have access to any other one, Narrator, the latest version of Narrator, is pretty good. So that's that link should be in there. The other one is I've put a poster together as well. So if you want to get to the poster, that's to the Call site, and you can see if you go to Call, to Downloads, and that's the poster there. Okay, so I might just see if I can open that up for you so you can see it. And again, this is going to cover all the things that we're going to be looking at in the next 25 minutes or so. So this poster hopefully will be of use. Just get rid of these emails that are coming in. And this is the playlist of all the YouTube videos. So customizing the desktop is the first one, looking at mouse tools and pointers all the way through to contrast colors. Now I'll be demonstrating some of those as we go along. Now it may be that you don't have, David mentioned earlier that he doesn't have access to the latest version of, because if we just go back to this one, you can see here that the version is 1903, so it's Windows 10 1903 and above. Now that was released last May, so almost a year since it's been released. So it's been around for quite a while. So if you don't have version 1903, then there's a good chance you probably won't get access to these tools. But however, there are tools that you can use. So this is a free tool called System Font Size Changer, and it's an excellent little tool, free tool that you can download, and you can make loads of adjustments to the title bars, to the menus, make everything larger, so it follows through in all aspects of Windows, especially Word. You know, if you're working on a Word document and you want to enlarge the menu, the ribbon, it's great for doing that. So that's another one, System Font Size Changer, and hopefully the link's in the text pane. And another one is quite good as well. If you have, you can see I've got a very small mouse just now, but we're going to look at making that bigger. The other one is the Ace Center, who does large pointers. So they have a variety of large pointers. They're not as large as the ones that you can get in Windows 10, but certainly that's quite good. And there's a little video there on how to install. So lots of good resources. So that's resources that hopefully will support you. But the next stage I'm going to do is just start looking at how we can actually sort of customize our desktop. So this is my desktop. So just really as if you've got a new desktop, and or maybe the local authority or the council set it up for you, and you've got it, and maybe some bits are locked down and you want to see how you can adjust it. Well, one of the first things you can do, and this has been around for a long time, And all I'm doing just now is I want to enlarge the folders on the desktop. And to do that, I'm holding down the Control key on my keyboard. So that's the Control key on my keyboard. And on my mouse, I'm using the scroll button. So hold down the Control key and scroll button, and you can see as I'm doing that, just that simple thing can really make all the difference. So Control and scroll, and then to zoom back out again, I'm just zooming out of till it comes back to, I might have missed it, as it was. Okay, so Control key, so you might want to try that on your own laptops or computers, see how that works. Control key and scroll mouse to zoom in. So that's fine, but what happens, the other problem you might find is if I go into this one here, into folder, is that the icons or the files are very small as well. So one way you can do that is you can go into view and you can change these icons so they're also a bit larger, so you can make the icons a bit bigger. Notice the text is too small. But of course, the other thing where you can do that is just what we've just done just now, is Control, and we're going to use the scroll button on the mouse, and I'm just scrolling up those to make them really, really large. So just a couple of tips for just getting in and making things a little bit bigger. Okay, other thing that might be of use, I don't know if you see as I'm moving my mouse around, you can see I've got this sort of radar key here. Okay, so that's really useful for someone who maybe loses sight of the mouse. So let's say the mouse is away off the side there and you're looking for your mouse, you've got a visual impairment, you're not quite sure where it is. If I press the Control key, you can see I've got the radar just coming in there. So wherever it is, I can always find my mouse. So to do that, what I'm going to do is in the search box, essentially go into settings. So I'm going to type in mouse settings. So I've got mouse and mouse settings, and then I'm just going to click onto mouse settings, and this appears. So this is the sort of Windows box that you get. Now, there's nothing much here I can do, to make many changes. So what I'm going to have to do is just go up to the right-hand side here and use the legacy where it has additional mouse options. So if I click into additional mouse options, now I have this box where I can do other sorts of things. So for example, in pointer options, this is where I've got the show location of pointer when I press Control key. We've got things like, for example, display pointer trails, so you can have pointer trails, those sorts of things. And in the pointers itself, you can increase, so you make them large. Okay. Now I appreciate everything's quite small just now, but what I'm wanting to do is sort of take you through the process of how you can make those adjustments and make them much, much bigger. That's just stuff that's already there that you can do, and you can go into and make things a bit change, but it's it's very limited. So for example, even by making those changes now, if I go into Word, if I open up Word, open up here, my Word document, there's not a lot has changed. Everything is still much the same. So let's minimize that. So let's close. So let's look at some of these new tools that are there. So if I go into the bottom, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in make everything bigger. Okay, so if I type make everything bigger, or I could maybe type in display, it's another one. So if I click onto make everything bigger, the panel comes up, and immediately I can start doing things like making the text size bigger. So by doing that, if I go back into my Word document, let's see my Word document, might need to close that down. I'll go back into my Word document again, open it up. Oh, it hasn't come through yet, so let's just give it a chance to come through. So sample text, and sorry, apply that. There we go. Oh, there's something I missed. Apply that. So you can see now things are getting much bigger. Let's go back to my Word document now and open up Word. So you can see that's made a really big difference to the document. Okay, so possibly that's just a bit too big. So I'm going to take it back down again and apply. But you can see when I did that, also, although we made these icons larger, the text was quite small, but now we can increase the text size, the labels on them. Now, what I'm going to show you is when this laptop first came, it was set as 100%. So that's how small it was, and the icons are very small. So it did make things quite difficult. So what I can do, so if I just go back into make everything bigger, I can now change the size to 125. You see, that's what I have when I'm working, or I can make it up to 150. So that's even bigger. So now, without actually doing anything to the text size, I can go back in, let's find Word, and you can see Word is much larger as well. So sometimes it's just a case of finding the balance between the, let's see, if I go to 175, I have to log out and log back in again, but that makes it really much bigger. So really what you're doing is you're just scaling up what's on there. So what I might want to do is just, if I'm with a pupil or a learner and we're looking at how we can make those things, we're just going to really just test these sample text size and then go into things like programs like Word, for example, and just open them up and see, oops, as usual, I forgot to apply into Word. Because you can see what's happening at the top is that some of the menus are beginning to sort of budge together. But certainly you've got that nice sort of text that's in there. And equally, of course, other things that you can do in Word, if I just type in some text, just type in this text generator, you can see I've got some text. Things like we can increase the text size as well. You can do that as well, but notice what's happening, it's going off the screen. So if I go into view and web layout, again, we can really bump that text up quite large. Let's just get that way up large. So now we've got we've really got a lot of stuff in there. And of course, you have this option now in Word where you can go into focus view, so it gets rid of all the text, all the sort of, any of the items that are at the top, and then you just have the document that you can work on. So to do that, I just went into view. So the default is print layout, but as you see, as I magnify up the text, it's just, it's falling off the edge of the page. So if I go up there, it's falling off the edge. But if I go into web layout, you can still have that text really large and everything is there. Okay, so that's a nice way, and of course focus. And we do have immersive reader as well. It's quite good. I tend to use that more for pupils with dyslexia type difficulties, but I'm going to look at how we can use that in Edge towards the end. So that's looking quite good. Let's go back to our, okay, so we've got our sample text and we've done that. The mouse pointer is still quite small. So just on my left-hand side here, I have cursor and pointer. And now what I can do is, hopefully you can see this, as I zoom up you see I've got a really large pointer now, and we can go in and we can change the colors from that. So there's a set of colors that you can have, or we can go in and you can choose a custom color and done, and then you have a custom color like that. So that's some fantastic features. Equally, we can go in and we can change the cursor thickness now. So now when I go back into and open up Word, again, you can see there's the cursor, much bigger, just there, and there's the pointer as well. So, that just makes such a big difference. They're really powerful tools. And I'm thinking, I have programs such as Zoom Text on my laptop, and I have some other magnification ones. But actually, I can replicate most of that in Windows now just by using the tools that are there. So I can see there's some. Just if I maybe just pop back to the I can see there's some chat panes going on. I just go back and see if there's anything I need to catch up on, because it's so large. Okay then, right. You cannot hear anything. Okay, so some people can hear. Okay, never mind. Okay, so I'll just come out of that again. Okay, so that's my environment. Now I'm just going to go back into my settings, because another option that's been there for a long time, I'm just going to take some of these things down a bit because it's a bit overpowering. And send that, and the cursor and pointer, let's take that down a bit. Something that's also been there for a long time is Magnifier. Okay, so it's been around in Windows for a long time. Now the problem with Magnifier is that in the past, when you zoomed up, is that the text becomes quite grainy. So there's something to think about. So if we go back into, let's just toggle back to Word, for example. You can see that's not too bad. It's not too bad, but if I zoom back up, you can see just the text is just getting slightly grainy. So I often think something that's worth thinking about, let's just come out of this, close that off, is that what you might want to do is think about how you can use the display together here in conjunction with the magnifier. So it might be that you can use the zoom levels and increments and how you do that together, because I think if you can, if the learner needs, it's an extra combination, it can be really powerful to do that. So Magnifier, it's just there. It's been around for donkeys, and there's lots of has these options where you can smooth the edges of image in text. You can invert colors, that sort of stuff. So it's not as powerful as the ones you buy, but if you notice that when you come out of that and you go into make the display bigger, you have font smoothing. Font smoothing's already there, so it's really very good. Color filters, well, this is really to support learners who maybe have sort of color blindness kind of difficulty, and so it's really, if they're working with images, it helps to make the images a bit more subtle. So for example, what we can do is just by, you see how it's just slightly changed the desktop from there, we can have options for inverted, grayscale if someone needs grayscale inverted, or these other ones, and it's just slightly making, especially these ones, and just subtle changes to what you're doing. So they really thought of everything, I would say, in Windows, and you can see everything has a shortcut key where you can toggle the shortcut key on and off as well. Something else that's been around for a long time too is this one here, is high contrast. So if you go into high contrast, hopefully that follows through so you can see that. And you can make all these changes. So this is one that I've created myself, but you have these default ones that are there as well. So you can go into defaults and apply the ones that you've got, it then changes. Or you can then go and you see you've got ones that you've created. And the way that you create one is just by clicking on the various aspects that you've got. Sorry, it's just changing to go through. Let's see, dyslexia one, it's maybe a bit too, as you're going through, and once you've made those changes, you then click apply, and then you get an option to save it. So you can customize it to meet different needs. Okay, so I'm going to come back to Narrator in a second, but the other thing I'd just like to show, and I'm going to go back into, go back up again and just take the display down a bit because it's quite large, and take that down a bit. The other one I'd like to show is Microsoft Edge, because this also comes with Windows 10. So here's a page from the BBC website, and one thing to look at, you see that a lot on browsers now is this reading view enabled. So when you have that especially in Edge, if I click onto that, you can see what it's doing, and I've got this bar here, and I have options now to have it read aloud. So I could, again, I mentioned the learning tools earlier on, so what we can now do is just toggle into there. So if we just go Let's just go back, take it out. So that's where it was before. And now what we can now go in is go back in and look at that and how that's much easier. So we can then go back in to have
Are
that
you
read
ready for
aloud.
the big night in banana bread challenge?
Okay, the voices are a bit limited in what you can get, and we can navigate from the mouse or from the arrow keys from this way. Or if we just close off these ones and go into learning tools, again, what we can start doing is looking at different themes to make that much more accessible as well. So this is great for web browsing, for any people who need this. Grammar tools, if you may be doing it on a web page and you're doing an exercise, saying to pupils, okay, which ones are the nouns, which ones are the syllables, that sort of thing. You can do that too in there. And of course, you have these sort of reading preferences where you can just zoom in on that. So what we can do is have something like that, and we can also have it read aloud at the same time. So
are you ready for the big night in banana bread challenge? www.
Let's go to the pages.
Share your cake pic on social media and tag 5 people to do the same. Go on, it's easy.
Okay, we'll come out that and learning tools as well. So let's just come out there. So we're back to the page again. So those are some really excellent tools that you've got in Microsoft Edge. So I'm almost out of time now, and I'm just going to quickly go back to the main page. And I mentioned about Narrator, because if we just find the tools in Narrator, here we are. Let's go down to Narrator. I would say it's almost a fully fledged screen reader now. You know, it's comparable to some of the big rivals that you have. And you can see there's lots of options in there for minimizing shortcut key. The shortcut key is Windows Control and Enter. I'm just going to do that now. So I have to warn you, it can be a bit of an iffy job when you're using a screen reader when you're demonstrating like this, but I'll try it anyway. So Control, Windows, and Enter.
Mouse mode on.
Heading level 1. Welcome to Narrator. This is Narrator Home, where you can get help. Exit.
So you get this sort of on-screen Narrator Home tutorial where you can see you've got
Quick Start
quick
button.
starts.
Narrator Guide button.
I'm just using the Tab key now to tab through.
What's new button. Settings button. Feedback button.
Or Shift Tab
Settings.
to
What's
go back.
new setting. Feedback. Show Narrator Home when Narrator starts. Checkbox checked.
Or I could do something to check how many heading levels are in here, and that's the Narrator key is a caps lock key, and that's Shift caps lock
Search headings.
6.
Welcome to Narrator. Welcome to Narrator heading level
So that
1.
takes me to the heading levels as well. And then
Quick
if I
Start.
just
Narrate. What's set. Feedback. Show. Ring. X. Minimize.
I
Button.
can minimize.
Settings. Narrator. Scan off.
And we can do things like, for example, if I use Control and T, I'll just go off that
Desktop.
one.
Hidden education modules. Selected. Scan.
I'm looking for Windows and T.
Taskbar.
So I'm in my
Microsoft Edge
taskbar.
-1 running window button. Google Chrome -3 running windows. File Explorer button. Outlook
And
button.
you can see now it's reading all the items.
Notification
all the
chevron
text.
button. O. Fully chart speakers. Volume control. 80, 879, 881. Taskbar.
So you
fully
have full
charged.
control.
100. Battery
that.
information. Ring.
So let's just come out of that one now.
Desktop.
Control and Enter.
Exiting Narrator.
Exiting Narrator. So just going to come back now to the and stop my screen. Okay, so everything's quite large on my screen. That looks a bit unusual. I might just go back and just reset my settings. So that's better. Okay, and apply. Right. So there you are. I hope that's been okay. I don't know if there's any questions. I can answer any questions in the text pane that you have. I can see. Will that apply to Outlook? Yes, Pat, that will apply to Outlook. Khalid had some difficulty seeing the nothing on the screen.